So welcome to this BlazeMeter Did You Know session. We're going to talk about how we can create test data and have all types of randomness in that data. So it may be that your test requires a random string of characters, a random set of numbers, or even where you have a list of values, you want to randomly select a value from that list. We're going to show you how easy we can do that with BlazeMeter. So here we are in BlazeMeter. We already loaded our test, our JMeter test, as you can see here. And this JMeter test has actually got within it a CSV file defined. On the right hand side, you can see this CSV file. We can now go through and create these parameters using these random functions. So let's start with a number one. So we're going to say number one, and we'll use the search to search our functions. And if I look at the random functions and we scroll down to the numeric, you can see we've got things like random credit card, random digits, random integer, random range. So let's look at random integer first. As you can see, it's very simple. All you define is the range of the values you want. So if I add this to my example, so we can say the range has got to be from 10 perhaps to 100. We preview that. What we've now got is a random value between 10 and 100. Now if we look at some of the other examples, if I had another parameter, call this number 2, there's actually an example that was random range. Now this is very similar, but this allows you to, as well as specifying the range of the numbers, also the number of characters. So if we do the same thing here, so we're going to say this time from 20 to 50, but the width is going to be 5. And what that means is we'll always return 5 characters. So if we preview this, we'll get that random range for the numbers, but it will pad it out with zeros to ensure we've always got 5 characters. Now we have other functions as well, but these are two of the key ones we use for generating random values. Now let's look at how we can generate text. So again, we create another parameter. And again, we use our help to find the relevant functions. And if we scroll down past the date, time, numeric, and get into the text ones, we're going to use the random text here. Now, you can specify the range of characters. So in our case here, we're going to use this function where by default, we're going to use the alphabet. But you could actually override that with another function with a subset of those characters you want to use. But let's stick with the basic one first. We're going to say random text 3 to 10. And what this means is we need a minimum number of characters. So perhaps we need a minimum count number of 10 and a maximum of 20. And what we'll get is a random string using the alphabet between 10 and 20 characters. Now we could also extend this, so perhaps we need to have more than one word. So we could then say perhaps we're going to do a plus, add a couple of spaces, take that same function, and perhaps this time we're going to say we want 5 to 10. What we'll now get is a string, space, and a string. And each time we run this, we'll get a different combination. Now, as I said, there's another function where you then define also which characters to use. So we're sticking to the alphabet here, but you could choose different characters you want to use as part of this randomization. Now we can also select from a list. So if I go into here and say list 1, and again we look at these functions. And what we've got here is rand from list. And this allows you to define a list within the function and then randomize what gets selected. So our examples here are quite simple. Now we've got 1, 2, 3. You can actually put a percentage in. So you can say you want a percentage of the response to be like 10% will be the first one, 20% the second one. No, it's your choice how you configure this. But we're going to take this first example, which is just randomizing these 3 values. So if I add it here, we're now going to get a random selection of those 3 values. And obviously we can modify this. So perhaps what we want to do is make these the days of the week. So we'll go Monday, Tuesday, and perhaps Wednesday. But also we can extend it. So I can just add more options. So we can do Thursday, perhaps we'll stick to working days, and Friday. And now we'll get a random selection of the days of the week. And as you can see how quick it was to set this up. Now if we go and look at our data settings, here's our output. So what we've got is our random integer, our padded integer, our text strings, and also our day of the week. And if I now say I want 100 of these, we've now got this random data that we're working with. So we've got the random integer in the first column, our padded random integer in the second column, various strings in our third column, and obviously our random selection from our days of the week in the last column. So what we've shown you very briefly is how easy it is within BlazeMeter to generate random data, be it numbers, text, or selections from a list. So if you want to get started with BlazeMeter, go to blazemeter.com. There's a selection of videos on the site as well as blogs, and also you can go to BlazeMeter University where we have lots of free courses.